If you suddenly remember something that never happened to you, don't ignore it. That's how it started for me. Not with a sound. Not with a shadow. With a memory. I was washing my hands when it hit me. A clear image. Standing in a hospital hallway. White walls. The smell of disinfectant. A woman crying somewhere behind a closed door. I could feel the cold floor through thin shoes. The problem was simple. I've never been in a hospital like that. The memory didn't feel like a dream. It didn't fade. It sat there, complete. I shook my head and laughed it off. Stress does that, right? Except when I looked up, there was a red mark on my wrist. Thin. Fresh. Like a hospital bracelet had been there recently. I stood in my bathroom, staring at it, trying to remember when I'd gotten it. Nothing. My phone buzzed. A notification from my calendar. Visit, 8:30 p.m. No location. No details. Just that. I never added it. I deleted the notification. A second later, another one appeared. Same text. Same time. This time, there was a location. A hospital across town. My stomach tightened. Because suddenly, another memory surfaced. Sitting in a plastic chair. Hands shaking. Waiting for a name to be called. And the worst part? I remembered what happened next. But I couldn't remember who it happened to. I didn't go to the hospital. I told myself I wouldn't. I made coffee, turned on the TV, tried to drown the feeling out with noise. It didn't help. The memory came back stronger. Not the hallway. The end. I was lying on a narrow bed. Bright light above me. A steady beeping sound to my left. I couldn't move my right hand. I could feel panic rising, heavy and hot in my chest. Someone said my name. It wasn't my name. But I knew it. I remembered the exact moment the monitor changed its tone. That sharp, wrong sound. I remembered the doctor swearing under his breath. I remembered the feeling of the room pulling away from me. And then nothing. I dropped my coffee mug. It shattered on the floor. I didn't notice the sound right away. Because I was too focused on the fact that I knew, with absolute certainty, how it feels to die. I checked my phone again. Another notification. Visit, completed. Time stamped 10 minutes ago. I hadn't left my apartment. My hands were shaking as I searched the hospital online. Recent news. Local obituaries. One name stood out. A man in his early 30s. Heart failure. Died less than an hour ago. I stared at his photo. My stomach dropped. I recognized him. Not from real life. From the memory. That's when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. A woman's voice whispered, barely holding together. Did you get them too? I swallowed. Get what? There was a pause. Then she said the words I was afraid of. The memories. She didn't want to talk on the phone. Neither did I. We agreed to meet somewhere public. A diner off the highway. Bright lights. Too many people. Her name was Emily. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. Hands wrapped tightly around a mug she wasn't drinking from. You first, she said. So I told her. About the hospital. The death. The bracelet mark. She nodded the entire time. I woke up knowing how to give birth, she said quietly. I froze. I've never been pregnant, she continued. But I remember the pain. The panic. The doctor counting. She rolled up her sleeve. A faint bruise circled her arm. Blood pressure cuff, she said. I checked. My mouth went dry. Emily wasn't the only one. There were others. A group chat. 7 people total. Different cities. Different lives. Same problem. One guy remembered being stabbed in an alley. A woman remembered drowning. Another remembered a car crash from the passenger seat. None of them had experienced these things. But the memories were perfect. And they left marks. Scars that shouldn't exist. A limp that came from nowhere. A fear of water that appeared overnight. The memories didn't repeat. They were always new. Always recent. Always ended the same way. Death. That's not even the worst part, Emily said. I looked at her. They don't stop at death, she whispered. They keep going. Emily told me something she hadn't said in the group chat. Something she'd been afraid to type. I remember what happens after, she said. After what? I asked. After the moment of death. The diner felt louder all of a sudden. Plates clinking. Someone laughing too hard. Emily leaned closer. They don't just end, she whispered. They move. She described it slowly, like she was afraid the memory might hear her. After the flatline. After the panic. There was a pause. Not darkness. Not nothing. A waiting space. No body. No pain. Just awareness. And then pressure. Like being pulled through something narrow. I remember slipping, she said. Like falling sideways. I felt my chest tighten. Because I remembered it too. Not from the hospital memory. From another one. A man drowning. The moment after his lungs gave up. That same pause. That same pull. We weren't remembering lives. We were remembering transfers. The group chat started lighting up. One message after another. I remember a hallway with no doors. I remember being pushed. It feels like sorting. I don't think we're supposed to keep these. Emily looked at me, eyes wide. What if we're not the destination, she said. What if we're the container? That night, when I got home, I checked my arm again. The red mark was gone. In its place was something worse. A faint scar. Like something had been removed. And replaced. The next memory didn't come to me. It came to someone else. And I watched it happen in real time. One of the people from the group chat, Marcus, sent a single message. I think they know. That was it. No explanation. No follow-up. Then he went offline. Emily tried calling him. No answer. I opened a map and checked his location from an earlier message. 2 hours away. I shouldn't have gone. I went anyway. Marcus lived in a small house at the edge of town. No lights on. Car in the driveway. The door was unlocked. Inside, everything looked normal. Too normal. Shoes by the door. TV paused. A half-finished glass of water on the table. Marcus was sitting in a chair in the living room. Upright. Eyes open. Breathing. But he wasn't there. I don't mean dead. I mean empty. His eyes tracked me as I moved. His head turned slowly. You weren't supposed to keep them, he said. It wasn't his voice. It came out wrong. Flat. Compressed. Keep what? I asked. The transitions, the voice said. The in-between. Marcus's hand lifted. I noticed his wrist. No scars. No marks. Clean. Like he'd never received a memory at all. We correct the overflow, the voice continued. When containers remember, they destabilize. My heart was pounding. You kill us? I asked. The head tilted. No, it said. We empty you. Marcus smiled. The smile arrived late. You're early in the process, it said. That gives us options. I backed toward the door. Marcus stood up. Behind him, in the dark hallway, I saw movement. Not shadows. People. Standing still. Waiting their turn. I ran. And behind me, Marcus laughed. But the sound didn't follow me. It stayed behind. Waiting to be placed somewhere else. I didn't go back to my apartment. I drove until the street stopped looking familiar and pulled over near a closed gas station. My hands were shaking too hard to hold my phone. The group chat was exploding. Marcus isn't responding. His last message makes no sense. I think someone followed me home. Does anyone else feel lighter? That last message made my stomach drop. Lighter. Emily called me. She was crying. They took something, she said. Not memories. Something else. What do you mean? I asked. I don't feel connected anymore, she whispered. Like parts of me are gone, but I don't know which ones. She told me she'd gone to work that morning. Everyone said she seemed fine. Normal. Too normal. No hesitation. No emotional pauses. No second guessing. I answered questions instantly, she said. I didn't feel anything while doing it. I understood then. They weren't removing memories. They were removing the space between them. The hesitation. The emotional weight. The human delay. What they left behind still functioned. Still talked. Still worked. But nothing lingered. Nothing echoed. That's why Marcus looked empty. That's why his scars were gone. They'd reset him. A container without residue. I checked my arms again. The faint scar was darker now. Warm. Like something inside me was still active. My phone buzzed. A new number. No name. Just one message. You are accumulating too much. Another followed. Prepare for correction. I started the car. Because suddenly, a new memory pushed its way in. Not of dying. Of being watched. From the other side. I didn't go anywhere familiar. Highways felt watched. Airports felt impossible. I drove toward places people forget. Back roads. Dead towns. Motel signs with missing letters. I kept my phone off. Not airplane mode. Off. Emily didn't answer anymore. I told myself that was good. That silence meant safety. It didn't. The next memory hit me while I was awake. Not a death. A procedure. I remembered standing in a white room that wasn't a hospital. No windows. No equipment. Just people. 3 of them. They didn't look human at first. Not because they were monsters. Because they didn't pause. They moved without hesitation. Spoke without thinking. Every action was immediate. Perfect. Efficient. You can't store residue, one of them said. I knew the word before he finished it. Residue. The emotional weight. The echo of dying. The part that doesn't belong anywhere. They didn't transfer lives. They recycled them. I came back to myself gasping. The motel room smelled like dust and bleach. I checked the mirror. For a split second, my reflection moved before I did. Then it corrected itself. That's when I realized the rule. They don't find you by location. They find you by accumulation. The more memories you carry, the louder you are to them. I needed to lose weight. Not physical weight. Memory weight. I remembered something else then. Another person in the group chat. An older man named Daniel. He'd said one thing before going quiet. They can't empty what's already broken. At the time, it sounded like fear. Now, it sounded like a strategy. I found Daniel 3 days later. Not because I tracked him. Because he stopped hiding. His house was abandoned. No power. No running water. But he was there. Sitting on the floor, back against the wall, surrounded by notebooks. Pages everywhere. Filled edge to edge. Dates. Names. Descriptions of deaths that weren't his. You can't hold them, he said before I spoke. They stack. They compress. That's how they hear you. Daniel looked wrong. Not empty like Marcus. Fragmented. His eyes didn't focus on one place. His thoughts arrived out of order. I broke myself, he said calmly. On purpose. He explained it slowly. He stopped resisting the memories. Stopped organizing them. He let them overlap. Contradict. Corrupt each other. No clean container, he said. No structure. Nothing to empty. They won't correct you. I asked. They can't, he said. There's no version of me to reset. I felt something twist in my chest. Because I understood the cost. Daniel couldn't remember his own childhood. Couldn't tell which name was his anymore. But he was still here. Alive. They're close, he said suddenly. I felt it too. That pressure. That quiet pull. Once you break the container, Daniel said. You don't come back from it. I thought of Emily. Of Marcus. Of the scar on my arm. I don't need to come back, I said. I just need them to stop. Daniel smiled. This time, it arrived on time. Then you need to forget the difference, he said. Between what's yours, and what isn't. I stayed with Daniel through the night. Not because I trusted him. Because I could feel them getting closer. The pressure wasn't sharp anymore. It was steady. Persistent. Like something aligning itself. Daniel told me not to fight what was coming. Fighting keeps the edges clean, he said. They need clean edges. I lay on the floor and closed my eyes. And I stopped sorting. I didn't push memories away. Didn't label them. Didn't ask where they came from. I let them overlap. A woman screaming in a car crash bled into a quiet hospital room. The smell of antiseptic mixed with smoke. Someone's last breath became someone else's first. My own memories began to blur. My apartment. My childhood room. My name. They slipped between other lives like they'd never been separate. The scar on my arm burned. Then went numb. I heard footsteps in the house. 3 sets. Precise. Unhesitating. The pressure peaked. Then, confusion. Not mine. The presence around me stuttered. I felt them searching for a center. A clean version. There wasn't one. A voice tried to form. It arrived broken. You are unusable. I laughed. Or someone laughed through me. I couldn't tell anymore. That's the point, Daniel said softly. The pressure collapsed inward. Not gone. Dispersed. Like smoke released into a storm. The house went quiet. Too quiet. Daniel was staring at me. His face was pale. They won't correct you now, he said. But you won't be stable either. I sat up slowly. My thoughts came late. Then early. Then together. I knew one thing with terrifying clarity. I was no longer loud to them. But I was loud to myself. They don't follow me anymore. I know that for sure. There's no pressure now. No sense of alignment. No quiet pull toward correction. I walk through the world unnoticed. And I think that's the punishment. I still remember things. Not clearly. More like impressions. A fear of intersections at night. A tightening in my chest near hospitals. The urge to hold my breath near water. I don't know whose memories those are. Sometimes I'll catch myself reacting to something before it happens. Stepping aside. Flinching. Stopping. People say I'm intuitive. Lucky. They don't see the moments after. The way my thoughts arrive out of order. How emotions overlap. Grief without context. Relief without reason. I tried to write things down at first. It didn't help. The memories change when you look at them. They blend. Like they're embarrassed to be separate. Daniel disappeared a week after that night. No goodbye. No note. I don't think they took him. I think he finally dissolved completely. Sometimes, late at night, I'll feel something familiar. Not them. The other memories. Shifting. Settling. Finding new arrangements inside me. I understand something now that I didn't before. The system didn't break. It adapted. It found a way to let the residue exist without being corrected. Inside people like me. So if you ever wake up knowing how something feels that you've never experienced. If your body reacts before your mind understands why. Don't panic. It doesn't mean you're next. It means someone before you didn't disappear completely. And something of them had to go somewhere.